Go, go, go. We're just going to stay this way for the next hour to encourage people to do a lot of hugging in the new year. It's really very nice.
Republicans and Democrats.
Oh my.
White House and the administration and the legislation.
We were supposed to talk about spirituality and religion.
Yes, and authority.
And authority.
And institutions.
And institutions, including CCTV.
You could include the CCTV.
That's the only institution I know that I share with you at the moment.
Okay, that's true. Yes. Funny, I don't think of CCTV as an institution.
I see.
When I think of the institutions, I think of the church.
Yes.
The university.
Yes.
The court system.
Yep.
The legislature.
What about the housing authority?
No, I don't think of them either.
Oh, so you think of institutions only the ones that you don't like? You call institutions.
No.
The organization.
I think of the ones that govern the population.
And the housing authority doesn't?
No, not
you
the
think
population.
of the big ones, so like the city of Cambridge is an institution?
No.
No?
Wait a minute, yes. Government, yes. Government.
Yes.
Government, religion, schools, family.
Family is an institution?
Yes. And
friendships or not?
No.
Friendships that get close, like if we were like brothers, would that be, then would we be an institution?
They might put us in an institution, but no. No, that's what I think of is the experience of institutions. And from our discussions that we've been having, I feel that you come at it from the experience of being an individual, and the experience of being a person, not an institution.
I didn't respect institutions enough. My family, University of Chicago, Queens College, CCTV, City of Cambridge, Massachusetts, United States of America, Quakers, Catholics, Jews. I love all institutions that I've been part of. They've been much more important to me than I was willing to admit, including the CCTV, big time. I wouldn't know you.
Okay, I can follow that.
Thank you.
I can follow that. But I feel that in listening to you, and we were just having dinner together, and we started our discussion.
Yes.
And in listening to you, it sounded like your orientation was more from a very personal point of view, whereas my orientation was more from the how should I say, broad scale view.
Yep.
Of the way in which authority functions and institutions function. I believe that the idea for doing this show, as you were mentioning a couple of times just now, came from a little while back when I called you. And when I called you at that time, in my mind I was reflecting on how religions all seem to have this pattern in common, that they reinforce the need to accept authority. And we began to review that tonight in our discussion. And I was listening to you in our discussion talk about how you don't see religion, experience religion in that way, that you experience religion rather than a tool of subjugation, that you see it, you experience religion more as an experience of individual freedom.
It can be both, as you. So I would agree with you at times.
But orientation.
But at least my experience. I mean, I'm a member of the Quaker meeting. 5 Longfellow Park, wonderful.
Oh yeah,
meeting.
we should include them too.
And that's an institution, and they have taught me, which was a great gift when I was young and confused, even more confused than I am now. And they taught me when I was a senior in high school. I go to a retreat center in Pennsylvania, Pendle Hill, Quaker Retreat Center. And here for the first time in my life, there's an inner voice, an inner light And the Quakers say that's God in us. And we sit on wooden benches together, and if we feel the inner voice move us, we get up and share it with other people. And so I learned in all my confusion, oh my, there's an inner voice in me, different than who I think I am. And I can begin to learn to tune into it. That was one of the great gifts of freedom from this institution, the Quakers. One of the first gift to help me be free was to learn that there's more in me than I think. And I could begin to tune into it.
And listening to you just now at dinner, and listening to you again, I see a difference in our interests, and that does not prevent me from being able to recognize the considerable value in what it is that you are sharing, the worth in what you're sharing when you talk about your experience with the Quakers and learning to listen to the voice within. However, that is occurring at the same time as in my mind I'm trying to focus instead on the need for teaching authority and teaching submission that all of the major institutions seem to have in common. And also, now that I come to think of it, I hear the same thing reflected in your experience too, when you say that you have a need for authority and you have a need for guidance, and that to me is a need that does not happen by accident, but it is very much in keeping with the same thing that I refer to as the programming, the programming of religious experience, the programming of institutional experience that plants the seeds that then cultivates the need, that kind of need for authority that comes from the institutions. That is what the institutions are designed to teach. Family is designed to teach that. Your school is designed to teach that. Religion is designed to enforce that beyond teaching it, to actually enforce it. There's even more freedom in the school than there is in the religion, and that is why you will see that in some of the more graphic and extreme examples of what I'm talking about, the religious institution will castigate and condemn the blasphemy of the academic institutions for violating their principles of religion and teaching things that they consider to be off base.
Now, do you have experience with this yourself, personal, of being? Because you haven't been part of a religious group, maybe ever.
Oh, a long history of being a part of a religious
group. Tell us. All Lloyd's fans, here we're going to find out what made this beautiful person such a beautiful person.
Well, first I was born into Harlem with West Indian parents who every Sunday would tune into the television, evangelical television programming, and we would all sit around and listen to this and share.
This is on the radio, though.
On
right?
the radio,
yeah.
Yes, at the time. And then from those experiences, and going to church, getting dressed up in.
What church? Do you remember? Some evangelical church?
No, not evangelical. It was more conservative, kind of English.
Anglican, maybe?
Anglican, yes.
Oh my,
yes.
which is like.
my family is British from the
Yes,
West
so
Indies,
they'll be
not
Anglican.
from this country.
So the
So
Anglican,
I'm
yes.
evangelical is
So
from
it's
this country.
Anglicans like the Catholic Church.
Anglicans, Methodists,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yes, but
Yeah.
this is more
So it's
Catholic
a lot
Church,
more
but
conservative.
the British version of the Catholic Church. with
Yes,
no
yes,
Pope.
the breakaway version.
Yes, and there's two. There's a high church and a low church. I don't know which, you might not know which you were part of, but the high church is very much like Catholicism.
Yeah.
The low church is a little freer from Catholicism.
Okay.
But
Well,
they're both that.
well, the high church is the Anglican church.
I think this could be a low Anglican church too.
No, I think that's the Methodist church.
Maybe you might know
Methodist.
better than I.
John Wesley broke away from the high church
Yes.
and formed the Methodist church.
Mm.
So we were not part of the high church, and that was on the island. That was after I got to Barbados. That's where, not in Harlem. In Harlem, it was just listening to the evangelicals.
And did you believe this when you were young?
Oh yeah, ferociously.
You
fervently. I mean, desperately. I'm sorry.
Yeah, to
desperately.
help you. That Jesus would help you, and
To protect me from going to hell.
yes, and it helped guide you too to be.
No,
be
there
good?
was just protection from going to
Oh,
hell.
but that didn't guide you to be a good person or anything like that?
No, it was just protect me from going to hell.
Oh, you see,
And help me to deal with feeling
my religion is, I was
help me
such
to
a,
feel help me to deal with feeling terrified about fire and brimstone.
oh, so, but they put the fire and brimstone in your mind to begin with.
Oh sure, it's all, it was
So
all part of the teachings.
I see. Whereas for
Yeah.
me, I was such a cold-hearted person for many reasons, that religion gave me guidance to try to love my neighbor as myself and all of those things that did not come natural to me.
Religion interrupted that for me. I was very happy without religion,
Oh my.
and very friendly and looking forward to interacting without religion.
Yes.
Until the Sundays when I would be terrified about falling asleep at church
Oh, my.
and
So
not,
that was not a good
nodding off.
experience. Yes.
no, not at
See, I
all.
was lucky. I was not brought up with any religion. So I once was hitchhiking with someone, and he said he became a Catholic in his 30s. And I asked him if his children, he was raising his children as Catholic. He said, "No way. Catholicism is for grown-ups. Children are just awful for them."
That's great. I wish my family felt that
So
way.
I was lucky. I didn't get it. I began to be religious when I was 22 at the University of Chicago.
No, I thought you said you were Quaker.
I wasn't a Quaker, but I was exposed to them
Oh,
in high school. I forgot all about it in college.
okay.
But when I went away to the University of Chicago for graduate school, I was lonely enough to remember I had gone to Quaker meeting and go to the Quaker meeting in Hyde Park in Chicago, and reacquaint myself with this. Oh my! I was very confused my first year away from home, and the Quaker said, if you're confused, you can listen to your inner voice. The light of God that's in you also, you could feel it. And so when I had the courage to ask someone out and was terrified, my inner voice said, hold her hand. And I said, my inner voice just told me to hold your hand. And she smiled, and we held hands. So I really need to talk about authority. I needed to have someone tell me what to do since I was so confused. And the someone came from within, which was, so in some ways it was me, discovering what I wanted to do, although it didn't come across that way. It was more like a command, rather than if I was really honest, which I wasn't able to then, I would have said, well, maybe I'd like to hold your hand now. And it would have been more wishy-washy.
Hesitant.
Yes, whereas this was, God told me to. Well, and that has its pluses and minuses. I think my inner voice was in part things I wanted but were afraid to feel, and therefore it came to me, since I was so much in my mind, it came to me as a command in my mind. And I lived that way for years, in confusion and just hearing, okay, this is what and I would just ask my inner voice, what do I want? And would follow.
And how
Not
long?
what I want, I think I was asked, what should I do? And I would follow. I'm not defending this because I was really hurting, but it did help me in to get through my 20s in some ways.
As I continue to listen to your experience, as I've been doing today, it becomes more of what I experienced than at first I was thinking, because I wasn't really focusing on your experience that you were sharing with me. I was instead focusing on what it was I had in mind, which was the business of how the religious institution teaches the need for authority and the need to submit to authority. But as I continue to listen now to your experience, I see where it's quite similar to the experience that I respond to and that I have and that I live with about the inner voice. And how I think of that inner voice. I don't know if it was you that I was discussing this with, or if it was someone else. And I was telling this person, maybe it was you, to think of the inner voice as a radio, as a receiver.
You told me this, it was beautiful, but say it again.
Yes. The inner voice is a device through which we hear and learn about ourselves and learn about the entire cosmos around us, whether it's locally, nationally, or internationally, or international. I mean, or interstellar space. It's through this vehicle, this instrument. The inner voice is an instrument of communication. And depending on where our being is on a scale of receptivity, then we more or less accurately hear the information that's coming to us from the inner voice. That's on a scale of receptivity. When the receptivity is high and clear, then the instruction, the insight received is very helpful, very intelligent, and very useful. When the reception is clouded and receptivity is low because of the distractions, then our own preoccupations color the information, distort the information, reshape the information, and what we still continue to believe and consider to be coming from the inner voice, we discover later was very misguided.
Yes.
And we say, well, you know, I got to be careful about listening to the inner voice.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah, the inner voice will be loving, and
the inner voice is always the same. The inner voice never changes. It's our reception that changes.
So can you give us an example of this for yourself? It could be happening right now for all we know. The words you're saying, but any example in your past?
Well, I find that if I talk about examples of where it's not the inner voice, what comes to mind is while I'm still recovering from the cold that I contracted recently, at times it wears and drains my resistance and my level of energy, and I find I become very impatient. And in that experience of being impatient, I find that I will become very short with other people and judgmental with other people. And all of that is not coming from any outer source. It's all coming from the inner voice. No, I'm sorry. It's coming from the inner source.
Yes.
So the inner voice will be saying, will be offering something that's very clear and very intelligent and very helpful, like you need to explain to this person such and such and such. By the time that reaches me through the cloud of fatigue and distress, it becomes you need to judge this person and let them know where to get off at.
Wow. You remember an actual example of this?
Well, someone was driving me in the car going somewhere, and he was telling me how he had bought me lunch, had bought me a sandwich, and that what he got for me was another turkey on cranberry bread. So the turkey and the cranberry really go well together. But I was expecting chicken, rotisserie chicken from the store. I liked that chicken from the store, and so I was very disappointed. And I said, "Well, you know, I'm sorry you did that because I really don't like that at all. I think that was not something that I would have chosen." The following day, when I was rested and all, and I look back at the experience, I really had enjoyed the preparation that I made of that sandwich. It came out really, really well. And so I let him know that I was being a grouchy, grumpy old man. So
That's a great example.
coming from the inner voice, what we consider to be the inner voice.
And it wasn't your truer nature.
Right. I mean, there are those who go into Burger King and shoot up the whole restaurant and murder people. And when after the arrest and the police take them in for questioning and the press get a chance to talk with them, they talk about how the whole thing happened so quickly. All they knew is that they were following the inner voice.
Yes, and that's a less. I have a friend who says if it's not loving and kind and good, it's not. It's same as you. My teacher said this. My dance teacher. If it's not loving and kind and good, it's not the real inner voice, the real you.
Right, but in the moment when it's happening, you're not making that distinction.
Unless tradition or authority can let me know if it's not loving and not kind, even if I feel so much I want to tell someone something and it'll feel so good to yell at them and tell them that they're, and I know in some ways from authority, if we use that word, that's not the way I really want to be. So my rules of trying to be honest and kind at the same time, and when it's too honest and not kind, I try to be quiet until I can get in touch with something kinder in me.
But that's where there's a gap. There's a lag in time between the emotion and the instruction, between the experience and the instruction. So in that lag time, in that gap, we're able to correct ourselves.
Yes, or yes.
But that's not true when the emotion intensifies to that point. There's no longer a gap.
Yes, I try to remember.
And so you take that gun and you go into Burger King and shoot the whole place up.
I try to remember.
That's your experience, but I'm saying this person is having that experience.
Yeah, no, that's yes.
You know? So, again, there's the inner voice,
yeah,
and then there's our being. And depending on our state of being,
yes, we can change.
that governs how we respond. And first of all, understand the inner voice, and then respond.
Now, you're a man of music.
Yes.
And I am learning now, because my voice comes from my head, I think mostly, even the inner voice. I am learning to discover what my body wants to do. And there seems to be, one great poet said, lovers help each other discover the bodies hidden in their body. And so I discover, oh my, where is my body leading me? Because sometimes I don't trust my inner voice. It once told me to jump off a roof, and I did not want to do that. And then I had to learn, I told you this, this was in Israel when I was sleeping on a rooftop. And I remembered, oh my, Israel means to wrestle with God. And so I had to wrestle with my inner voice and say, I don't want to jump off the roof, because I don't think I would enjoy the consequences. And so I wrestle with this inner voice, and sometimes I trust, sometimes where my body moves me. And not words.
You see, beyond religious authority and beyond religious instruction and beyond religious direction,
yep,
is becoming at one-ment.
Yep.
Becoming at one-ment with the voice,
Yes.
so that you become the voice.
Yes, I
and the
learned.
voice becomes
Yes,
you.
I learned to speak with it. The voice I'm using now was once my inner voice, because I was surrounded with my attempt to be kind, but now it's coming out more naturally, and movements. That took a long time, including living with Michelle for 2 years and discovering that there was someone inside me, even with all this inner voice preparation, that I didn't want to share. I was ashamed of. I would much prefer to be a teacher.
Ah. So what that? Wow!
So guys,
Thank you.
have like a little break in the middle there.
Thank you.
I'm gonna
Oh.
count you down when it's.
Okay.
You want to pause it?
So we'll pause.
Can
Can
I stop?
I'm afraid to
when we
stop
get
it. Can I?
7:30, then I'll.
Can he stop it without and,
No, I
and
can
go
stop.
back to it again?
I'm not so sure. No, it's not. I'm going to let it go,
Okay.
and Sean will take care of it.
All right, so we'll continue. But thank you for
I'll
doing
give
that.
you a countdown. when
Boy, I
get
thought we
on
were just
time.
starting.
And the same thing when we're finished, you can come back in
You
again.
guys are just getting going here.
Yes.
Okay.
Boy, time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely.
I thought it was like I wasn't aware of the time at all. I thought it was about 7:15.
So how time and space
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
So from your experiences with Michelle, you're able to learn more about the other.
The me
Mike-
that was hiding.
Mikey.
The me that was even hiding underneath the inner voice. There was a me that was really hiding. Because it was like the inner voice was a bypass to what was some of my feelings. Because the inner voice was more intellectual for me. Hold her hand was like not, I want to hold your hand. It's very different. I don't know if I'm being clear.
No.
My inner voice was more intellectual for me. It would say when I was scared, if I was going out with someone, hold her hand. But that would be a very unemotional words versus I want to hold your hand. It's a very different place.
Ah, yes.
So my inner voice helped me hide from my feelings, which were very chaotic. I don't think this is the same for us. I think you're more in touch with your feelings than I.
I am now.
Yeah.
But I had a long story about being involved with women, and in that whole involvement allowed me to be separate from my inner voice.
Oh my!
So your involvement with women helped you to become
Well, I was both.
closer.
Both. I'm scared. Michelle was so kind that I was a little more able to be myself, but it was horrible. I would just be depressed because the energy to hide who I really was, and the energy to control who I really was, which was very violent, that would just exhausted me. Both hiding and what was coming up. And I had to slowly, day by day, for 2 years, just begin to deal with that. So it's a little bit better now.
I can't recount as clearly as you can recount my saga, my struggle, my experience, because most of it all happened.
Hello again.
And we're back. Welcome to Living in America, and this time I'm able to join you and thank Michael very much. Michael, thank you for the wonderful job that you've been doing, filling in on Living in America. Great work.
Oh yes.
And now that the energy is back, I'm able to come out and participate again, even while I'm still feeling the recovery happening. But I think that what's been going on for me has to do with the fact that as my body ages and I grow older, I need to become more tuned in to pacing myself and more tuned in to giving myself a lot more room than ordinarily we are taught to do or are allowed to do by our customs, our cultures, and our traditions. And so this reminds me of your asking me, why is it that I was interested in questioning the characteristic of religion as an institution and how it functions to teach enforcement of authority. And so it kind of resembles that a bit. experience of having submitted for so long at my own expense to what I considered the world wanted from me.
Oh my.
And learning now how that's not necessarily true unless I want it to be true.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And that in its place, I can give myself time off from coming here. I can give myself time off from whatever other experience it is that's draining my energy.
Yes.
And pace myself in a different way that gives me a lot more advantage than I was able to have through the earlier years of my 72-year experience.
The wisdom of aging.
We grow old too soon and smart too late.
Oh my. So I had that trouble too with living with my sweetheart. I thought there were things I supposed to do. It's very tricky. Like if she comes home, I'm supposed to greet her.
Yes.
That's very hard when
Yes.
when I might not feel like it.
Right. And she may not feel like it either.
Yes, so it's very, very
So
hard.
it's not necessarily what the other person is expecting from us either. It's
Yeah.
always what we're expecting.
And I have to, yes, and if I'm brave, I'm not sure I am, but maybe for the new year, she's coming home tonight, I will wait to see what's genuine. I might have to talk that over with her to set it up. I did tell her it's hard to greet you after I'm alone all the time, and then all of a sudden someone comes in, and I'm supposed to be warm and loving, and I'm really tired, and we might be able to create a situation where we're free to do what we feel what we want to do. And it can be if I don't have to greet you. Let's say if it's you coming, it can be if I don't have to greet you, including what we're doing now on television. I don't have to say anything. Then I give it something in me a chance to come out that's genuine, and not because it's a have to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Is that have to that I'm slowly moving away from?
Yeah.
And that's what I call submitting to authority.
Oh, from the culture.
From the culture, the religion, the school,
Yeah.
the family. You know, what comes to mind every time I talk about how the family also functions as an institution of enforcement.
A lot of have to's there, big time.
And you say to your parents, I don't understand, why do I have to do this?
Yep.
And they say, this very simple, the reason why you have to do it is because I said so.
Yes. So now we're free. I did discover that having to teach and show up every night at the Cambridge Center, even if I did not feel like it, often helped me. Including having to come here. I don't ask myself when I have the TV show. You do, you're brave. I say, I have a show, I'm going to do it. That seems to help me a lot. And if I would check in, I might not want to come.
See, that is what I've been experiencing, and the difference between our experiences and our points of view as we explore your view of authority and religion, and how religion promotes submitting to authority, and how useful that is in your experience, and how I see how the need for submitting to authority is very much determining the direction in which the whole planet is being hurled head on into major catastrophe and confrontation, unless something happens to correct the path that we're on today. It's speeding into destruction, and so listening to you, I see the value in what you're saying about how important it is that we have a sense of discipline and purpose and direction, whereas at the same time I look and I see where this need for purpose and direction coming from outside,
Yep.
from the authority, is what's leading the planet on this destructive path.
Even if we've internalized it.
Yes.
Even if we've internalized it.
Yes, yes. Which is still different from learning to listen to the inner voice.
Or what you really want to do.
Right.
And so you're a dangerous man now. 'Cause
Thank you.
Who knows what you'll discover since you have fortunately in a nice situation where your housing is taken care of, and you have no external obligations except those you choose, you can really do what you feel is you want to do, or what's right to do. Do you make a distinction between what you want to do and what's right to do, or is that no longer necessary?
No, it's not what I want to do or what is right to do. It's it's becoming comfortable with this voice. And the more I become comfortable with the voice, the more it turns out that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing.
So it is the right path, no, right? But you feel, but it's both the feeling. It's
Be careful about how you're using that word right, because people who hear that word right contrast that with wrong.
yeah.
And when I use the word right, it's done in contrast with anything. It
just
it
feels
has nothing
right.
to do with sin.
Nothing to do with wrong at
what's
all.
acceptable, right?
The Tao says when we get into right and wrong, we've already lost our way.
Right. No. So
You really you like go with the way, go with the flow.
right, but it's not. And really, it's not anything to do with righteousness.
No, right, exactly. You really are. I should read some of it to you sometime. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You really like the Tao.
That's what my chairman of my department at Harvard told me, that,
Yeah.
that I should study the Tao, because a lot of the things that I wrote my thesis about was a reflection in his experience of what he had learned from the Tao.
The Tao says the first. It's a selection of poems written by someone, Lao Tzu, in China about the time of Confucius, and it begins with, you love it. Anyone who says they know what the Tao is doesn't know what they're talking about. When you talk about right and wrong or good and bad, you've lost the Tao. You'd like that. Beautiful or ugly, he said, if you talk about beautiful, you make things ugly. Talk about good, you make things bad. You're very much in that tradition.
Wow, really? Every time I talk with you, as happened with my friend Theo that you remind me of, I would hear through him, and like I hear through you, what the books are saying, and how the books are echoing what I'm saying,
Yes.
and I'm echoing what the books are saying, even while I don't like reading, and the more time that goes by, the less I like reading. So I don't see myself as reading any of those books.
No, I might bring, but I might. You'll listen to me if I.
Well, absolutely. I'm
You'd love
listening
to,
to you now.
Now, some people have said, I think I might.
I'd like to do that on the show sometime,
Yes.
like we're doing now, where you
I'll
where
bring,
you
I'll bring
read
it
from
down.
the
I would
Tao.
be happy to do that.
Because there are other people out there that
Yes.
would like to hear it too.
Now, Confucius is the opposite.
Okay.
Confucius says we have duties, and we
Okay.
must keep face, and we must, that's what Confucius is very good for institutions. We have duties, and we must do them with grace, and do them. I mean, I don't know Confucius as well as the Tao, but they balance. For me, they balance. I don't think you need that balance. So I want to go with the flow.
Oh, I see.
And I also like to, I just come to CCTV, whether I feel like it or not, do my programs, to teach my classes, whether I feel like it or not, be kind and responsive to Michelle, making breakfast for her when she has to go to work, whether I feel like it or not. I like both, actually. And sometimes they work together, and sometimes I just do it because I think I should do it.
Well, I am not about right and wrong.
We have a living Tao, folks.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not about.
That's
I'm not about right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm and at the same time, I'm also very much wanting to be inclusive,
Yes.
including of those who do
Yes.
gain from right and wrong.
You're really
perspective.
someone else you like and you look like. Walt Whitman.
Oh, really?
And Walt Whitman said, you would like this, I harbor for good and bad. I permit nature to speak through me unchecked with original energy. So you're very much like that too.
Wow.
I harbor for good or bad. Harbor meaning like like
Yeah.
the harbor holds things.
Yeah.
May good or bad come through me, I'm going to let nature speak to me unchecked with its original energy. I've said that a long time.
Beautiful.
Maybe I could begin to feel it.
So maybe we can have some flavor of both of those minds.
We
then,
will do that.
right? Tao
Dow and Whitman.
and Whitman.
I'll come next time you're here. I will bring them. If
That
you-
would
if
be
you call me,
wonderful.
I'll bring
Yeah,
them for
we
your
can
show.
do
yes.
do an hour-long thing.
Oh yes, we can. If I don't have a guest, we can do it in an
Yeah.
hour.
No, whenever that happens
Yes,
again.
or a half hour. Yes.
Yeah,
whatever.
whenever that happens again. I like the hour-long
Yes.
experience, but the half hours can
Yeah.
be just as worthwhile too, though. So,
So that's
inshallah.
God willing. Yes.
Yeah, you know that?
Yeah.
I thought I was putting something over
No,
on you
no.
that
So
you didn't
that's
know.
interesting. You're using these
Well,
religious expressions. So I do understand you, and I understand more than I did before why this is important to you, because you don't want the internalized authority to stop you from discovering who you really are.
That is blasphemous.
And I
It is not an internalized authority. That is not authority.
I mean, but we've internalized all these.
It is being.
But we've internalized what we think we should do.
Mm,
And
no.
at least as I understood you, you said you want to
No.
you want to be free of those internalizing authorities. You don't want.
Right.
You want to, and you might have a few left. For all we
Oh
know.
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
No doubt about
So
it.
I understand you now, and I understand why this is
Love it.
very important to you. To one philosopher, you might like this too, Pascal said, almost all the evils of the world could be overcome if men would be able to sit alone in a room for 10 minutes. You know, because we always need to be doing, and if you could just be alone in a room for 10 minutes. Many of us are scared of it. I was scared when Michelle didn't come home last night. I would be all by myself.
I lived through that whole fear
Mhm.
for many, many years of being alone.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy for that. And I continue to live through that experience of being alone. But it's an experience that returns more to being around other people while I'm experiencing being alone. And taking it to a point where I can be entirely, completely alone
Yes, I can see that.
around
Yeah.
other people.
So you're really a free, and you come across that way, but not only a free spirit, but a happy spirit. I'm sure you have other feelings, but a free and happy spirit. And will be this for the rest of your life, I think. May it be a long life. Inshallah.
Well, for my birthday on Facebook,
Mm.
where people were asking me how come I have 2 accounts on Facebook,
Yes.
and they said that's because it allows me to be able to communicate and friend myself on Facebook.
Communicate.
To be able to communicate with and friend myself.
Oh, you're
on
a friend of
Facebook.
yourself? Yes.
So for my birthday, I was able to send myself,
A friend,
Birthday.
Happy birthday.
birthday wishes.
So there's that old song, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, but your new song is, What a Friend We Have in Me.
Well,
What a friend I have in myself. Well,
well,
and again, you're like Whitman. Whitman said, I celebrate myself and sing myself.
but there is no other way.
Yes, so,
Right.
and you've learned that. I celebrate myself and sing myself. And he wanted it for everybody.
But there is no other
and what I
way.
assume, you assume. For every atom belonging to me is good, belongs to you.
But the teachings in the Testament, Christ taught that. in
yes,
the
Christ.
Testament.
Yes, so you're getting religious on us.
Christ taught.
Freedom.
Christ taught that. Lloyd, here.
Yes.
I am.
We all are sons and daughters of God.
Christ taught.
Yes.
Christ taught. Took me a long time to discover
You
this
got
because
this,
it
yes.
was right in front of me in the Bible, but
Yes.
everybody was misreading it.
Yes.
So it took me a long time to be able to read it correctly.
Yes.
And what it says in the Bible is, Lloyd, I am
Yes.
the way.
Yes.
No man cometh unto the truth, but by me.
Yes. And through
Me.
you. Yes.
Me. I am
And through you.
the
too.
way.
Yes.
And everybody's reading that to say that this was a reference to Christ.
No,
It wasn't a
You
reference
know, he
to
wanted
Christ.
his students. He said his students.
Not a reference to
It
Christ.
made it.
I'm getting applause!
Whoa!
Yay!
It made it into the we have our own reason we are feeling so comfortable here. We have our own audience in the control room.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes, her
and
name
out
is
here
Beth.
too. Out
Yes.
here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you too, maybe Elizabeth and Gail.
Oh, there are thousands
Yeah,
that are watching us
Donald,
today. All
yeah.
across the
Yeah,
planet,
yes.
they're listening.
Oh, and Jesus, whose real name was
Joshua.
or Yehoshua, he said greater thing, and this made it into the Bible. How did they let it in? Greater
Well, a
things.
lot of it they didn't let
Yeah,
in.
but this slipped in. Greater things will be done by my students than me.
That's right.
Which he was talking about you, of course. So in some ways you're saying that religion rightly understood, as you have, and others people can too, religion rightly understood is fine. It wants us to be free. And a good family would want us to be free. My father, with all his difficulties, wanted me to make up my own mind. He wanted me to be free.
But then we learn a certain experience of love
Yeah.
that has to do with captivity and possession. And if we don't experience captivity and possession, then we don't experience love in the way that we learn it. We experience instead indifference. We don't experience love. So when the women that I lived with
Yeah.
experienced that it was okay for them to have sexual intercourse with other men, and that was very much a part of my love
Yes.
for them. Not only that they could have sexual intercourse with other men, but that they could enjoy it
Yes.
and come back and share the whole experience with me, meant that I didn't give it a goddamn about
That
them.
wasn't true at all.
I didn't give a goddamn about
That
them.
wasn't true at
That
all.
all they were to me was a piece of meat, and even less than a piece of meat.
They weren't, but they thought that.
Because I don't want to possess them.
Yes.
I don't want to control them. I
Yes.
don't want to follow that pattern that they were taught
Yeah,
to
yeah.
identify
And
as love.
And now
And if they're not experiencing
and now
it, they're
they're-
not getting love.
Yes, and now there's groups of people called polyamorous who make this as part of their institution. That that's how they want to be with each other. Exactly the way you said.
And have a family that way.
Yes, and even have a family that way. Polyamorous means many loves.
And that's the only way in which I wanted to have children, because that's what I wanted my children to learn.
Yes.
I didn't
You were
want
ahead
my
of your
children.
time. Now there wasn't institutions. Now there are.
And the thing that was always suspect for me was either it was a man who was taking great joy in learning from me that I agreed with them that they should have as many women as they can have.
Yes.
And I would say yes, and that the women can have as many men as they can have. And the men said, "What did you just say?"
Yes.
I said, "No, you heard me right." They said, "Well, then, okay, I thought you were saying something different. I don't agree with that at all."
There were groups. There's one group
I don't
called
agree with that
the
at all.
Human Awareness Institute, or HI, where that institution, which you can look up on the web, this is what many of them believe.
What is the institute?
Human Awareness Institute.
Human Awareness Institute.
You could go for a weekend. It would be quite an experience for you. Except as it's an institution, I'm not sure how you would like it, but
Yeah, because the moment I hear anything to do with what I'm talking about, immediately I become very leery.
yes.
That there's somewhere in there's a major distortion.
Yeah.
It's either over preoccupation with sexual indulgence,
Yes.
where
Not really.
where this practice is gone mad
No.
with itself
it's actually,
and has nothing to do with intimacy between people at all.
no.
None.
This is actually
It goes the opposite
better than
direction.
that. This is a very nice group.
I'm surprised to hear that. And very encouraged.
So what would you say are still, this is a harder question for both of us. I mean, we're in our 70s now. We've learned a few things, learned how much we don't know, maybe, at least I. What would you say are still some internalized authority telling you to do what you should do that you would like, that might be too hard a question, that you'd like to get rid of? Are there still, because you're a free-spirited person, you've got enough money, you've got a nice home, are there still things that you do because you think you should do them rather than they really coming through you. I told you my struggle living with someone. I haven't worked that out yet.
Well, I guess the way in which I participate in the economic practice of the world that I live in is something that I feel that I should do. Oh, okay. We're closing up.
And we still have 5 minutes?
Oh, we have 5 minutes. You want me to come over there? Oh, here. Oh, Mike. Oh, hi, folks. I'm back again.
Are we
I was
off
over
stage?
here. I was off.
No! No!
Because I was over here.
No!
Focusing, but they could still hear my voice. So
Oh.
thank you. So, how's that for a cablecaster?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Usually, a cablecaster's reading a newspaper.
Yes.
Or the cablecaster's
Oh, let
off
me move
somewhere
on. Oh, no,
else.
I have to stay here too, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I got too choreographic. Too much dancing.
You were going to say how there were still things economically.
Yeah, participating in the economic practice of the world that I live in, which is ownership, accumulation of resources. When the direction I'm moving towards is the transformation of ownership and accumulation to circulation in place of ownership. Circulation.
So what would that practically mean?
I have no idea.
Oh.
You asked me where is it that I still want to go.
And what you
If
want,
I,
and I'm not sure I
I
understand.
would be able to explain it to you if I were there.
But something about money is
There's
still,
a way in which money, the whole economic system is based on the accumulation of resources.
Yes.
That's what the whole system is
Yes.
based on. You put it into bank vaults, and you put it into stocks, and you
Yes.
put it into corporations. And
But you're not doing that either,
Oh,
unfortunately.
absolutely.
You
yeah.
are? You're investing in...
Sure. No, every time I buy a loaf of bread, every time I buy some, I'm participating in it. It's you can pretend that you're not, but you
Oh, I
can't
see.
exist on the planet.
Right.
If you're on this planet, you're
Oh, so you
participating.
participate... Oh,
In one way or another, we're all participating in the system.
I see,
You
but
can't
I-
live on this planet without
right, I
participating.
lived on a kibbutz and they had it a little differently where they...
It doesn't matter. It's a kibbutz as well.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, whatever you're doing on there, there's money coming out of that that's going into the vaults. That's going. You can't escape it. The entire planet is being governed by this system, and there's no way to escape it yet.
Yes.
So I continue to live within that bondage, within that, to be an accomplice to that kind
And
of.
what would be, this is, we still have
It's a
2
system
minutes.
of greed.
So what would be a beginning freedom from that?
Love.
Meaning we just share, we don't use money?
No. You can't. No. I have no idea.
Oh.
I have no idea.
And what is it, how does
Because people say, Lloyd, we tried this already. That's what the communist system did. I said, no, absolutely not. Not even close to what I'm talking about. I said the communist system was no closer to what I'm talking about than the capitalist system.
So tell us what we still have, this is very interesting, we still have 2.5 minutes.
The closest I can come to this is that all of the political rights that communism disavowed is practiced in this way that I'm talking about. And all of the social services that the capitalist system disavows is practiced in the way in this form of living. So you have it's maybe a hybrid. It's all of the political freedom of the capitalist system with all the social services that are provided by the communist
So
system.
Marx said, you might like this, everyone does the work they want to do, ideally, and you get paid from each, or get some ways rewarded, from each according...
Already it's going in the wrong direction.
No?
Once you
Oh.
say pay, already going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And this is not about it's not about pay. No, it's a whole. It's a maybe the commune, the kibbutz.
Yes.
Maybe that
We didn't get
that
money,
The kibbutz.
they fed us,
maybe.
and
maybe,
we worked.
but on a global scale, not
Yes.
some little thing in a corner
Yes,
someplace
that's-
in Israel.
Yeah.
But the entire planet.
Yes.
Until then, it's just
Sharing.
Yeah. Until then, it's still.
If you have 4 children, you get a little more than I, who don't have any. Even though we
no,
do
you
the
don't
same
get
work.
anything. It's all. No.
Oh, everybody
No,
shares.
the entire planet.
You just get
you don't-
food. You just get food.
You
when
live
need
like
it.
the cows.
Yes.
We are a higher level of intelligence than the cows.
Yeah.
However, the cows don't go to supermarkets to line up to eat. The
Yeah.
cows have their
So the
food
food
all
would be
around
there.
them.
Yes.
the
Something like it.
advanced
Something like
in
a
terms of the
kibbutz.
human race
Something-
has to go
Yeah,
to
the kibbutz
civil
was
rights.
aiming for this. Something like this.
So but again, I'm trying
And the
to
commune-
answer
Yes,
your
I understand.
question. But more than anything else, all I'm saying is that's where I'm still stuck. You asked me where
Yeah, I
I'm still
understand.
stuck.
So maybe
I'm
okay.
telling you, that's one way in which I'm still stuck. The other one is the sexual relationship that I have with women.
Which
That's
is
where I'm still stuck.
because
Where I relate to women in terms of how they view their vagina as something that's oh boy, some kind of I can't even think of it right now. But it's not how.
and you can look.
It's not-
We're out. Oh, on that note.
That's perfect.